Inland Sports.
Here on the Inland Sports Show, the head coach of your CIF Southern Section Division 5 AA champions of the world of the Kaiser Cats, Coach Avila. Coach, congrats on a CIF championship. You'll have to refresh my memory because I've been in the IE for about 15 years, and I remember about 10 years ago, Kaiser had a team, I think it was the semifinals. Had Kaiser ever won a basketball championship until this season?
No, this was the first one in school history. So, long time coming. There's been a lot of great teams, a lot of great coaches before me. Blessed to be able to bring the first one, to Kaiser. Just really appreciative of, the support I've received, the support the team has received over the past, year. So, but yeah, first one in school history.
Yeah, when you think of Kaiser, you kind of think of like a football school. They had a ton of success going all the way back to Coach B, Dick Bruick, obviously. But what you guys were able to accomplish this season, let's rewind even back to last summer. I mean, thinking about the team that you had coming back, or maybe some of the guys coming in new to the program. Did you feel like this could be a special group? It could be a special season if everything kind of goes your way, or is this kind of like a huge surprise out of left field?
No, we had a good idea, not just from last summer, but the end of last season. Last year, we had a lot of first-year varsity guys, juniors. So we kind of struggled, we struggled with putting teams away. We went 6-22 last year. We probably had 8 to 10 games where we were up double digits in the second half and still lost. So learning how to win was something we had to do. When summer started, we were really optimistic. We had a good group coming back. And they seem to have taken that step that you would like to see your juniors take when they become seniors. They started making that progress during our summer leagues. We were competing against teams that, we felt were better than us at the time, right? But we were competing at a level that we didn't really expect to see until probably December, even November. So we were a couple months ahead of time. We added some pieces towards the end of summer, early fall, and it all just kind of came together. In terms of expectations, I mean, we always want to compete for a league championship. That's kind of just the norm for us, right? We want to make sure we're competing in league, but we're 11-10 at right in the middle of league, and then we just kind of turned it on. Things just clicked. We had some really tough games against San G, some really tough games against Colton in league, and that kind of just propelled us forward. The challenges that those two teams provided us really were kind of like the catalyst of everything that happened in the playoffs. So really appreciative of our league and how competitive it is. But in terms of expectations, man, I mean, everybody wants a CIF championship, right? But to be here now today, looking back at it, it's just an incredible accomplishment for the kids that we have, an incredible accomplishment for our school. Like I said, first one ever is huge, and I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Coach, you mentioned some of ththose tough non-league games that kind of prepared you or propelled you maybe, into that postseason run. Was there a point for you that you felt like, you could look across the locker room and the vibe, the mood of the team was just different? Like, hey, these guys are buying in. It's clicking that, hey, we've got a good team. Like, the confidence is now finally there. They get it. They're understanding, like, this could be a long season for us if we keep, playing together. Was there a moment for you? I don't know if it was halftime of a certain game or a certain game that you guys were able to win. Sometimes it's maybe a certain game that you guys lost and you learned from it. I mean, was there a moment for you where it just kind of like felt like, hey, I believe in these guys and they believe in me?
Yeah. There were several moments this season where it could have gone either way. I mean, we're talking. We had some losses right in the middle of the season where we were kind of scratching our heads, like, what are we going to do with this group? How are we going to help them figure this out? But in terms of the one game that really kind of flipped the switch for us, it was our league tournament against Colton. We were down 14 in the fourth quarter. We came back to tie it, went into overtime, and ended up winning league championship at Colton in overtime. And that was kind of just where we took off. I mean, we figured out a way to win that game. And like I said before, we had struggled with finding ways to win games, especially close games. And for us to come out of there, hostile environment, Colton brought the whole city of Colton seemed to be there that night for this league championship game. And they were handing it to us for 3 quarters. And then we finally were able to figure it out late. We stormed back. And ever since that game was probably the catalyst to all of this. After that, we kind of just reached a new level of confidence and a new level of trust with each other.
So, Coach, going back to the CIF championship game against Diamond Ranch, I mean, Going into that game, obviously it's just another game, but how do you kind of, I don't know what the battle cry was, the message to the team to maybe not feel like you're out of place, like the moment is too big for you, and feel like, hey, you guys, I don't know, maybe deserve to be here. You earned your spot here. Like, what was kind of the message going into that championship game?
Well, all season long, our message has been to burn the boats, right? When you're going somewhere and you want to take over, you want to conquer, you don't want to give yourself any way to backtrack.
Yeah.
So all season long, our message was kind of burn them, right? Every game, burn the boats. Remember why you're here. Remember what you're sacrificing, what you're giving up, time with family, time with friends, opportunities to, go work and support your family.
Yeah.
So just kind of reminding them that all of this that they're sacrificing means something. And then that game in particular, our battle cry was 3 ounces. I'm lucky enough to have a CIF championship as a coach from another school, so I kind of understand what it takes. So the day before, myself and my assistant coaches, who also have some CIF championships, brought some our championship rings from the past. And we told them 3 ounces, man, like play with the chip on your shoulder that's 3 ounces big so that you can fill it at the end of the game with another championship ring. So that was kind of our battle cry for that day was, hey, we need to play with a chip on our shoulder that's 3 ounces so we could fill it at the end of the day. So.
Coach, when you looked at the season as a whole, you talked about being, I think it was like 11-10, whatever you said, in the middle of league play. But do you feel like if you looked at the entire season from where you started and getting to that CIF championship, do you feel like you guys were trending up the whole way? Like it was just like a steady stream up, or was it kind of like some ups and downs and, figuring valleys and peaks, and you finally just, finished on top at the end?
Oh man, peaks and valleys. We beginning of the season, we were very hopeful. I think we started off 0-2. We lost our first two. First tournament, we were 1-3. We had won some games. We had a good little homestead where we won some very tough games at home. And then right in the middle, we had some pretty bad losses, some losses that we felt we shouldn't have. The game should not have been competitive, and we ended up losing. We weren't prepared for those moments. But like I've told my kids, hey, we needed all 10 losses before the run we made. We needed every single one of them to figure out what was going on. We needed every single one of them to continue to build. And then, like I said, after that kind of that league championship, we just kind of took off. They started to believe in each other. They started to believe in the coaching staff. It's tough. This group that I currently have, 6-22 last year. I mean, we've had the previous 3 years, we won 22 games total. So this year to be able to come up with 22 wins in just one season, it's difficult sometimes for kids to build that confidence when they've struggled for so many years. So kind of dealing with the expectations of being a team that should be winning games was really difficult for them to kind of grasp. But once they kind of saw it all coming together, once they kind of saw that, hey, all this hard work we've been putting in is working, they really kind of just took off. But yeah, this season was early on a lot of ups and downs.
Coach, that's a perfect segue. You kind of stole my next question, because I was looking at your, season by season, and 22 losses last year and 22 victories this year, especially for the returning guys, because they're probably thinking, oh my gosh, here we go again. Hopefully we win a couple games this season. Yeah. Kind of going back to that question, like when did it kind of click? When did the confidence build in there? You said you had some new guys, interjected in the program, but for the returning players who went through that, what was it, 6-22 season?
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take for them to kind of figure things out and was like, okay, this is not going to be like last year. This is totally different than last year.
Yeah, I mean, early on, like I said, summer for that returning group was really big. We were competing against teams, we were in the Santiago Summer League. So we were competing against teams that we normally don't see. Mm-hmm. Very, very tough teams, good challenges. And we were competing defensively, which kind of was our whole motto over the summer, was we got to be able to stop teams. Because like I said, last season, we lost so many leads late, because of our defensive lapses, our lack of effort and energy late in games. That crew that came back, I mean, I have nothing but respect and pride for that group, to stick with it. That senior class, man, and really, I mean, my junior class this year too, because a lot of them were part of that team last year. For them to stick through it, for me, means a lot, because I mean, they could have easily packed it in at the end of last season. Yeah. They could have just kind of said, hey, this is just a repeat of what we're doing. Like nothing's really going to change. But for them to come out and do what they did this year is really special. Not only for me as a coach, obviously as a coach, you tell these kids for years, keep doing things the right way, keep working hard, and something will come of it. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. We've been saying it for 3 years, and for 3 years we haven't been very good. For it to kind of happen for this group their senior year for me is really special. Mainly because I don't ever want to feel like I'm lying to kids, right? If you're doing things the right way, they should help. That should happen for you, and they made it happen. They're a great group of kids, man. So proud of them. Everything we've done, they're extremely proud of it. The school's extremely proud of it. The community is extremely proud of it. We have a lot of buzz right now, man. Even though our season is over, just being able to hear alumni, being able to hear admin, being able to hear coaches from the area reaching out to us, to congratulate us is huge, especially when you for the past 3 years have a program that's just kind of been there, right? Playing games, winning some, losing most. For these kids to get that recognition is huge. And I'm really happy for them.
Coach, I did want to ask you too, you guys did win a state playoff game as well. Then you saw that same Diamond Ranch team again in the state playoffs. Do you feel like, man, I wish we could have that game back, or I wish we could play one more time, like best of three, and try to still be playing right now going into a regional championship game?
I mean, hey, they won last night against Wilson. Great game. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially when you're playing that team, 2 times in 6 days.
Yeah.
We got the best of them on Saturday, and then the second game, hey, they came out with a vengeance. And it was just something we couldn't match. I mean, that's a great team, that Diamond Ranch. They're extremely well coached. They came into our court and they punched us in the mouth, and I thought we responded late. We were able to kind of crawl our way back into it. But ultimately, man, it's basketball, it's sports. Somebody has to lose, unfortunately, right? And that night just wasn't our night. Do I want it back? Of course. Who doesn't? I'm a competitor, right? Of course I want it back. But I also wish Diamond Ranch, the most success that they can get. I hope they go all the way. It'd be great to see them go out and win a state championship. Great group of kids, very respectful group of kids, great coaching staff. When you spend 64 minutes on a court battling with people, you learn a lot about them. And those 2 games really helped my team, my players individually, and me as a coach as well, man. That second game, the adjustments he made, I felt like I was coaching from behind the whole time. We tried to make adjustments as we went. Unfortunately, it doesn't go our way. You live and you learn, and you just hope that the next time you can be better. So congratulations to them. But yeah, a third time would be perfect. I would love a third time, but hey, it is what it is, man. We'll kind of, we'll let them enjoy that one because they deserve it, man.
Coach, let me piggyback real quick because I've heard from other coaches, even outside of basketball, football as well, for many teams for a lot of years too, like, winning CIF, winning the Southern Section title was like the big prize, right, at the end of the year. And it was hard to kind of regroup and get their focus back to make a state playoff run or a regional run. After you guys won CIF, was it like, okay, guys, let's celebrate, but our season's not done yet? And obviously you won your first round game, so the guys were still dialed in. But as a coach, was that kind of challenging? Because, most coaches haven't been in that spot. You win the championship, and it's like, okay, we gotta lock in again. We got more practices.
Yeah. Difficult? No. My boys, it's never been about, obviously CIF championships are huge, but when I'm talking to my teams, you always want to win the last game you play, whether, it's for CIF championship, state championship, or you're out of the playoffs and it's just the last game you're going to play. So my boys knew we had potentially 5 more games to go. We kind of kept it, in their ear, like, hey man, like, we got to sacrifice for the CIF championship, but you also have to remember that we could potentially have 5 more. Like, we're going for something greater. The conversation for CIF championship happened, probably at the end of our second CIF game. We started kind of having that conversation, like, hey, you guys can make history here, but there's a difference between making history and being absolutely legendary. A state championship is legendary. Nobody can be better than you at that point. They can only match you. And that was kind of our message moving forward after that CIF game. We celebrated on the way home, and then, on Band App, I messaged them, hey guys, celebrate tonight, but tomorrow when the brackets come out, we find out who's next. That was kind of our motto throughout the playoffs is, hey, enjoy, but who's next? We feel we matched up well against anybody in our division. We felt we matched up against, whoever they're going to put in front of us. We were going to come out, we were going to compete. what really helped us kind of keep them focused is, once again, I have a CIF championship under my belt as an assistant coach. Two of my assistant coaches have CIF championships. So we knew what we were walking into. One of my assistant coaches, Coach Lundy, and I, we had some state runs with the Notre Dame Riverside team, and Coach Rob, 2016 to 2018.
Yeah, Rolling Hills Prep, I think we did one of those games, if I remember correctly.
One more time.
Was it Rolling Hills Prep? I think we live streamed one of those games.
Yeah, that was that group sophomore year. We had lost in the semis that year and made a state run, and then we ended up losing that game at home, Rolling Hills Prep, in the regional finals. Yeah, that was that group sophomore year. The next year we ended up winning it 3A, and then we ended up going to Sacramento and losing the state championship. So my coaching staff and I were experienced. We have that championship resolve and that championship medal that we kind of leaned on. So we knew what was coming as a staff. We tried to prepare our kids what was coming as a staff. And we felt we did. That CIF championship game was huge. A lot of these kids had never played high school playoffs. Never, ever. Yeah. So to take that group and do that and prepare them for it, we felt we did everything we possibly could. Like I said, at the end of the day, man, it's basketball. You got to put the ball in the hoop more than the other team. And unfortunately, we didn't that last game. But yeah, in terms of preparation and in terms of being able to get them ready for a state playoff run, they were ready. We were locked in, a little banged up like everybody else. But ultimately, if we could have gone through Thursday, I think we would have been in that same position Diamond Ranch is in now, playing for a regional final. And I would have liked our chances against anybody.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm right with you. That's why I was asking if you could have another shot at Diamond Ranch.
Yes.
You guys still might be playing right now. Coach, finally, last question. Talk about next season. You have a bunch of guys coming back, and do you feel like, I don't know, the guys that are coming back, and even for yourself and the coaches, do you feel invigorated? Do you feel like, man, I'm excited for next year now? Like, man, that was so much fun. Like, and the guys have belief in the program now. Like, what's next year going to hold?
Next year, I have a great junior class coming back. This year, we were very senior dominant in terms of playing time. My juniors did get a lot of minutes, especially key minutes in league. My junior class they're my defensive group, man. All season long, we've plugged them into tough situations where we needed stops, and they've kind of come through. It will be a different style of play. They have different skill sets, obviously. And my staff and I, we're not stuck on one style of play. We'll mix it up depending on who we have. But in terms of excitement, we're excited, man. It's hoops. We get to come out, we get to compete every day. We get to do what we love. We get to help these kids kind of, we see these kids grow up. They grow up in our programs, man. They become young men. And when they leave, we hope that we've helped them, learn how to handle themselves out in the real world. So yeah, I'm always excited, man. Literally, I'm probably giving them like a week off, and then that junior class is right back at it. I mean, we do a year-round strength and conditioning program, so they're excited to kind of get back. But yeah, excited, absolutely, always excited. I hate the end of seasons, man, because I gotta find ways to fill my time. So usually we go right back to the drawing board. We take the names off that have graduated, and we kind of plug in everybody that's left. And, the hope is that next year we can kind of mimic what we did this year with a group that now knows what it takes.
Yeah.
That's what we're excited about, is this junior class knows what it takes. Whereas this year we were kind of just figuring it out on the fly. They know what it takes now. They know that what we have in store for them, what we have scheduled for them, workouts, everything that it's going to produce, so long as they show up every day ready to go and they give it 110%.
Well, Coach Avila, congratulations on the first CIF championship for Kaiser High School. Man, what a run, and yes. And to hear like you got, some guys, some pieces coming back next year. Very, very excited. So, Coach, congratulations, and thanks for hopping on the Inland Sports Show. We really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. I've been waiting for you guys to reach out to me. So I'm excited. And hopefully, we can continue the success, and hopefully I can come back on the show again, man. We can have another conversation.
You got it. That's Coach Avila from the Kaiser Cats here on the Inland Sports Show. Inland Sports.